Prune Bouillot, Vice President of, Vice Chair rather, of SMI Futures and Holder Limited. And if what we've seen now is not enough to whet your appetite for lunch, then I hope that Prune will just whet your appetite for even more tantalizing thoughts for the future. Have we got Prune? Thank you.
Right. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Prune. I'm Vice Chair of SMI Futures. Before I go into this presentation, I'd just like to see by a show of hands who was able to make it to our launch event on Monday evening before the conference. Okay, cool. Yeah, so quite a few of you. Thank you so much for joining. And it made up for some really interesting discussions, which I'll tell everyone a bit about today. And for those who weren't able to join, I will get you up to speed and just answer 3 questions for you. What and who is SMI Futures? What was discussed at our launch event? And what are our future plans and how they can and will involve you? So starting from the beginning, we heard a lot of interesting discussions this morning and yesterday about the future vision for the maritime industry, future vision from different companies and initiatives, and well, people that are directly involved in the future visions and acting on them are the young professionals of today. So SMI Futures is an initiative created by the SMI team to support and encourage the development of young professionals in the maritime industry. As it stands today, we're made up of, so we're a board of 14 individuals. I won't go through our 14 names, but what I'd like to highlight is the fact that we're all from different companies and we all have different jobs. So for example, I'm a naval architect. We've got a couple of naval architects, but we've also got some business development managers. We've got a technologist, an ocean scientist, and a few project managers, supply chain managers. So in saying that, what I'm trying to say is that we want to bring to the table diversity of thoughts when we take part in discussions around the future of the maritime industry. So we had our official launch event on Monday night. And just to put it in context, it happened at the Sky Bar of the Hilton Hotel, right up the road. The event had 2 main aims behind it. So the first one was an opportunity to network and catch up before the conference, and for SMI Futures to engage with the rest of SMI and vice versa. But also we wanted to have discussions around the future of the maritime workforce and sort of challenge everyone's thinking around it. So in practical terms, we had 4 flip charts around the room. Each flip chart had a different question on it. And we invited participants to just walk around and have a chat with us and share their thoughts on these topics. Before the event, we sent out a survey that had pretty similar questions. And in doing that, we're just sort of trying to get the thinking started around those questions. So I'm just going to go over the results that we got from both the survey and the event on Monday. So the first question was, how do we ensure a diverse workforce in the future of the maritime industry? In the survey, we asked participants to rank the 5 different options that you see on the screen. And the 3 that came out top were early education, diverse role models, and recruitment policy. And it was really interesting at the event on Monday, so quite a busy flip chart, but I'll highlight the main themes which came out a lot was indeed the importance of early education from like primary school level to secondary school level, just providing more visibility to the maritime industry, but also showing kids that it's a cool industry. And someone made a really good point, which is when we think about cool STEM disciplines, we think about Formula One or like rocket science, spaceships, but we don't necessarily think about ships. And that needs to change because STEM in maritime is really cool. And the other thing that came out a lot was visibility, written in big there. In 2 senses, the importance of using better PR strategies. So for example, the Navy campaign was mentioned quite a few times, and how we should sort of use the same strategies and expand them to the rest of the industry. But also visibility in terms of providing careers roadmaps once people enter the industry, and just showing them exactly all they can do within the maritime industry. So moving on to the next question, which was, how do we better inspire and retain our talent in the maritime workforce? Again, in the survey, we asked respondents to rank different options. The ones that came out tops were work benefits and pay, work environment and flexibility, and better defined development pathways. These three topics came out in discussions on Monday for sure, but what was interesting is that participants also highlighted different things that we hadn't necessarily thought about. So for example, when inspiring, the importance of using leadership to inspire people and give more responsibility to young people, providing opportunities to grow in the business, and also providing diversity of roles within one job. And I think that sort of resonates with what Sir Benki was saying before in the discussion panel. The next question we had was, what does the work environment of the future maritime workforce look like? I think there's a quite clear answer on the graph, which is that hybrid working is seen as the future of a, at least office-based job in the maritime industry. And I think that obviously is quite reflective of a world post-COVID where all companies have become more flexible in terms of their working arrangement, maritime industry included. But other things that came out in discussions on Monday were the fact that offices will be green, eco, more flexible, flexible in terms of hours, so maybe shorter weeks or half days at work, but also there will be maybe less, hopefully less male-dominated, and there will be an increased focus on well-being and mental health, and also a focus on more data collection to improve decisions and just improved work environment. And the last question we had was, should we encourage more cross-company placement within our industry? Again, quite a strong agreement on the fact that yes, we should provide more cross-company placements within our industry, because we can learn a lot from skills, not only cross-company, but also cross-industry skills. I remember having a discussion with someone saying that we need international secondments, for example, to learn from, like, for example, if there's a shipyard in China and a shipyard in the UK, we can learn from each other. But topics that came out as challenges for that was the fact that it might be more difficult for smaller companies than bigger companies, so there's some collaboration needed there to make that happen. Obviously, the question of having a proper HR framework and agreements in place, but also the question of IP and competition between different companies. But I think the consensus was quite general on the fact that these shouldn't be hard stop to making cross-company placements happen. They should be challenges that we find solutions to. So that was a sort of brief overview of what our event was about on Monday, and hopefully give you a bit of an understanding of what SMI Futures is about. So we want to sort of help steer the thinking in the maritime industry, and we want to be part of the discussions happening in the industry. Now, in terms of what are our plans, now that we've officially launched, after this conference, what are we going to be doing? So the first thing in the short term is that we're going to be involved with SMI Council activities. So don't be surprised if you see up, show us to your meetings. We'll be listening in, but we'll also be providing a helping hand. And we'd love to be involved in discussions and be able to share our thoughts on the topics discussed. We'll also be looking at having a mentorship program. So we see this in two ways. More experienced people mentoring us, the board of SMI Futures, but we also want to be active and we want to help maybe mentor some university students. So we're still looking at how that can happen, but definitely keep in touch if that's something that you're interested in or if you think you can help us with that. And finally, we'll be organizing events, either local events or more like annual events. And our aim is to create a wider network of young professionals. So obviously the board is 14 people, but we want to reach a lot more than that. So we'll be creating a more structured way to network for young professionals, and we're sort of seeing now how that can work. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, or if you think we can collaborate in any ways, or if you'd like to help, please send us an email at this email address, or you can reach Emma Johnson at SMI. We've got a website, we've got a LinkedIn group. So yeah, we hope to hear from you. Thank you very much.